Hey guys, this week we're going to be doing a debate. A debate is a really fun way to practice argument writing in a more realistic setting because you're actually going to be arguing back and forth with a real person instead of just putting your ideas down on paper. So, a debate is when you are going to have uh, somebody arguing back with you. In the type of debate that we are going to be doing, we're going to be doing it like a debate club would in high school, where you will have a partner and you and your partner are both going to research a topic. In debate, the topic is called the resolution. You're both going to research a resolution. The other side will research either the affirmative, which we would call like pro, and one side will research the negative, which we would call con, like pro and con, and you two will battle it out to see who has the better research and evidence and who can make a more compelling argument. Here are the topics that we're going to be arguing. Each team is going to sign up for either the affirmative or negative for these different topics. So, children under 14 should not be allowed on social media sites. The voting age should be lowered. The government should provide internet service for everyone. Performance enhancing drugs should be allowed in sports. Parents should be allowed to choose their baby's gender. Junk food should be banned from schools. So be thinking about what one you would like to debate and whether you would want to be the affirmative or the negative, and maybe have a backup because we are going to be signing up for these in class and you may not get the one that you want to do necessarily. So, like I said, the affirmative side agrees with the resolution and the negative side disagrees with the resolution. So, these are all the resolutions. So, the affirmative side would agree that children under 14 should not be allowed on social media sites. The negative would disagree that children under 14 should not be allowed on social media sites. Okay, so the affirmative side is the one who is proposing a change for action. So they have the burden of proof, and they need to convince the audience that change is necessary in order to make things better than they are now. Um, so like to say that children under 14 should not be allowed on social media sites. The affirmative side is really going to have to put together an argument to say, like, this needs to be changed right now. So the affirmative side really has the harder time because they're trying to say that things should be changed. So, if you are trying to pick the affirmative side, you're going to be pointing out problems with the current situation. You're going to be convincing others that the problems are significant. You're going to be pointing out the benefits of changing things, finding reliable facts. Both sides should really do this, and examples and quotes to back up claims, predicting what the opposing arguments will be, and developing counter arguments, planning for a logical flaw in presentations of arguments. Okay, so the negative side, all you have to do is disagree with the affirmative.
Students, it's 3 o'clock. You will now need to exit the building and campus unless you are working with a teacher. Again, it's 3 o'clock and you will need to exit the building and campus unless you are working with a teacher. Have a great day.
It's not really 3 o'clock, I'm sorry. I was going to try to pause it, but I didn't make it in time. Okay, sorry about that. So, arguing the negative. The negative side's task is just to disagree with the affirmative. So, your biggest job is to really come up with ideas of what the affirmative is going to say and shoot down what they are going to say by saying what is wrong with the current system and come up with ways that your idea is better than the current system and really question the affirmative. Think of lawyers in a courtroom, and they are really trying to get the jury to believe that their client is innocent by poking holes in the prosecutor's uh, argument. Here are some things that you can use when you are making your argument that could help convince your judges to side with you. So each team is going to be judged by another team, another set of two teams, and they're going to decide who wins the debate. So using these logical appeals. For those of you involved in the school leaders. Sorry about that. So using these logical appeals and rhetorical devices will kind of help convince the judges that you know what you're talking about. So using rhetorical questions like, do you want to leave this world a better place for your children? Contrasts, we can do a little extra work, or we can take the easy way out. We can wash cloth diapers and help out the world, or we can throw away Pampers and push the earth closer to destruction. So you're kind of making like, we can do it the easy way or the hard way. You're trying to kind of show that, like, um, if we just do it this way that we're saying, it'll actually be really easy, as opposed to if we do it the other way, the world will be destroyed. Um, Exaggeration. This is where you really blow things out of proportion. Can you imagine the overwhelming stench, the piles of dirty diapers, your red chafed hands from all that washing? So you're really trying to paint a picture for what it would be like if they sided with the other side, trying to make it seem like it was really, really bad, or make it seem like it's really, really good if they agree with your side. Avoid these emotional arguments, trying to get people to just agree with you, like out of pity. So being like, "Don't you feel really bad for us? This sucks. We're really sad." Um, this is this is just kind of a technique that really won't work on the judges unless you do it really well. Most of the time, it just backfires. Um, Limited examples. So you want to make sure that you're using really good, strong examples. If you just use like an example from your own life, the judges are going to be like, that's one example from your own life. And they're not going to want to listen to you. So, this is an example of a limited example. My granddad is 95 and has smoked 60 cigarettes a day since he was a teenager, and today he is perfectly healthy. Obviously, smoking is bad for you, and when you smoke, you're going to have health consequences. So we can't just look at this grandpa and be like, "Oh, this grandpa smoked 60 cigarettes a day. Oh my gosh, that's so many. 60 cigarettes a day and he's fine. So smoking is good." No, that's not how that works. So this is a limited example. Obviously, we need to look at other examples, and if we did, we would see that smoking is bad. Attacking the person, not the argument. When you guys are debating, make sure that you are talking back to the people's arguments and saying, like, okay, I see what you're saying here, and your idea is wrong because, not just like, you're dumb. That will lose you points on your debate, and you will probably lose. Generalizations. This is when you just say, like, all students hate this, or no one in the world likes this. Obviously, that's never going to be true because that's there's everybody is individual, and if we just generalize for all people like that, then there's always going to be people who don't agree. Um, and then irrelevant conclusion. So let me conclude. I don't smoke. My debating teammates don't smoke, so that proves our case. So that's like trying to say, like, so I'm trying to prove that smoking is bad, and then it's like, we don't smoke, so that proves our case. So make sure that your evidence actually supports your conclusion, which is something that we did practice when writing our argument essays. Okay, the next thing, make sure you're using really good sources online. because you are going to be arguing with people. So if you're finding things off of just random websites on the internet, the people you're arguing with could say, like, what was that source that you found it on? I don't think that's the best source. We actually got our sources from uh, .gov website, like the U.S. Department of Statistics, and our statistics are opposite of yours. So ours are probably more correct, and then you're going to look silly. So try and avoid that embarrassment by evaluating your sources the first time. Sometimes when it's a little bit embarrassing to admit this, but sometimes I'll argue with people on Facebook. And that is one thing that I make sure I do when I'm arguing with people on Facebook. I use only if I'm going to argue with people, I'm going to make sure that I'm looking up things from .gov, .edu, and then if I can't find a .gov or .edu, I make sure it's from a .org, and then I use the CARP method test that you see here on the right of the screen. So you're going to look at the currency of the website that you're using. When was it published? If it was published in the past, like 5 to 7 years, it's probably a pretty good website and the information is still up to date. If it was published 20 years ago, it's probably not the best source, especially for statistics, because things have probably changed since then. Authority. Who is the author of the information? What are their credentials? Um, I know sometimes I've been looking at articles and I've been like, this information seems kind of incorrect. And I'll go look up the author, and let's say it's an article on English literature, and it's been written by a doctor of he's a doctor, but he got his doctorate in chiropractic. He doesn't know anything about English literature, right? That's not what his degree is in. So make sure you go look at the author and say, okay, why would they be an expert in what they're telling me on? If I'm looking up something about, let's say I'm looking up something about smoking, for example, I probably want to find something written by like the Surgeon General or a doctor. I don't want to find something just written by anybody off the street. Accuracy is the next test. How reliable is this information, and do the authors cite their sources? A lot of times, authors will put their sources at the very bottom. So scroll down to the bottom and see if they've cited any sources. A lot of times, you can also look at those sources for more information on the subject. If they haven't cited any sources, it might not be the best resource. Relevance. Just double check and make sure that this is actually information you want to use in your debate. Once again, when you're going to be arguing with people, you want to make sure that you have the best sources possible. So if you don't have um, the the most relevant information, people are going to tear your sources apart and you're going to lose this debate. And let me tell you, once you get debating and arguing back and forth, you're going to want to have strong examples, strong sources with all of these things from the CARP method really strong in your debate. And the last thing, purpose. This one's really important. When you look at it, are there a lot of ads on the page? Does this website look like it's trying to sell you something? Does it look like it has a bias? So remember, bias means like, is it leaning one way or the other, like politically? So if I'm trying to write a paper that doesn't have any political leanings. I want it to be right in the middle. And I go to one and it's talking really bad about the president. I probably don't want to use that because it probably is going to lean politically one way or the other. Okay. Same thing if I read one and it's talking really good about the president and not mentioning any flaws. I want to find one that talks about strengths and weaknesses, and then I'm going to use my own brain to kind of write my own non biased paper. So make sure you use the CART method for your sources so that you have really strong sources in your debate so that if people argue with you, you are really able to say that you have the strongest sources. And maybe you could be the one who says that their sources aren't as strong as yours. Um, so as you prepare for your debate, remember that you're going to be listening to the other people speak. You're going to want to be taking notes while your opponents are speaking, and so that you can do your rebuttal. The rebuttal will be an opportunity for you to make your points back to what they said. You'll want to have some brief points outlined before the debate. About what they might possibly say in their rebuttal, but you will want to take notes while they're speaking um, in order to have um, a direct rebuttal to what they have said. So once again, here are the topics that you guys are going to be signing up for. So think about what you might want to argue. Here's how the debate will work. Each team is going to have two people, and then two teams will face off on the same topic. So one will be affirmative and one will be negative. And then each team will also judge another team. So each debate will have two teams debating and four judges. When you finish your debate, you will then judge the teams that judged you. Once you and your teams have signed up for a topic, I'm going to assign you or your teacher. You will be assigned either affirmative or negative, and you may have to be reassigned based on numbers of teams. So you may have one that you really want to do. You may really want to do affirmative or negative, but you're going to have to be really flexible because depending on numbers of teams, we may have to shuffle things around. You will have one day to research with your partner, and then the day after will be the debate. Here's the rubric that the judges are going to use to score you. In your debate, and this is the rubric that you are going to be using to score the other teams. So you're going to be having to maintain eye contact, speaking loudly and clearly, using gestures and tone for emphasis, listening respectfully to others, having clear, accurate, and thorough information, supporting your uh, points with facts, details, and examples, presenting your arguments in an organized and logical fashion, understanding your topic and presenting your arguments persuasively, your counter arguments, so that's your rebuttal, making them clear, relevant, and strong, and counter arguments being supported with evidence where appropriate. This is the structure of the debate, and I'll just go through this pretty quickly because it'll make more sense when we get into the debate. So, round one will be your constructive speeches. This is just the first time where you talk and you introduce your point. So, your first speaker will go, then the other team's speaker will go, then your second speaker will go, and then the other team's second speaker will go. Then there will be a brief break in between. That's why you have to take notes in between. There'll be a brief break for you to make up your rebuttal arguments, and then it'll be the same format. First speaker, other team, second speaker, other team. Then the judges will have a moment to score the debate and decide on the winner. This is just the definitions of all the speeches. Like I said, we will go over this more when it gets closer to the debate, and you will have a packet to fill out with your partner to help you organize things. You guys will get your packets on your research day in order to help you organize everything. Good luck.